Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Courtney. If you're returning, welcome back. Today we're going to be reacting to 2019's The Michael Jackson Magical Moon Tour. This is actually a documentary style film. The director reached out to me to do this reaction. So Richard, if you're watching, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to checking it out. And to give a little bit of background into what we will be seeing, it is a film set in 2023, so in alternate reality in which Michael Jackson is still alive. And it's an interview, so I'm looking forward to it. So let's hop into it, but very quickly. As per usual, if you're supporting over on Patreon, thank you so much for the support. And if you're watching this video with military affiliation, thank you so much for your service. So we're going to get into it, and I hope that you guys enjoy. Ooh, Switzerland. Oh, I would love to go one day.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eve Zarifa with Channel 11, bringing you a world-exclusive interview with the most elusive superstar in the history of music, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. I'm here inside Michael Jackson's chalet home in an undisclosed location deep within the Swiss Alps. For nearly 15 years, since the completion of his record-breaking This Is It tour, Michael Jackson has not granted an interview, nor been seen in public.
Interesting.
Tonight, his silence is broken. Tonight, Michael Jackson will reveal himself as he has never done before, and will, I hope, continue to surprise, enlighten, and entertain us. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jackson, the king of pop.
Yay! Okay, from ground zero to the moon. All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Eve. Thank you for asking.
He sounds just like him.
I suppose we should get the obvious out of the way first.
Sure.
Let's get the elephant out of the room.
Right. Well, I'm wearing a mask because my face is disfigured. This isn't a publicity stunt. My face is badly disfigured.
How badly?
Very badly. You know the old Phantom of the Opera movie from 1920s?
Sure.
We do love the Phantom of the
Well,
Opera.
I look worse than the Phantom with his mask off.
Really?
Really.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. I'm doing very well. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be who I am. I've never had so much fun in all my life. That's the truth.
May I ask what caused your disfigurement?
Oh, there were a number of different causes that sort of all happened at the same time. We could talk about my medical details if you like.
Maybe later. Is the mask real gold?
Yes, it is. Well, it's gold-plated. Solid gold would be way too heavy.
It's very nice.
It would be quite heavy if it was real.
Well, now that we've got that out of the way, do you want to start at the beginning?
Sure. Let's start at the beginning. Well, my name is Michael Joseph Jackson, and I was born in Gary, Indiana, the 7th of my parents' 9 children.
Now that
My
I do
father,
know.
Joe Jackson, worked in a steel mill and also played in a local R&B band. He would...
What did your mother work as?
At the time, my mother worked in a department store. My mother is a saint.
And you lived on Jackson Street, right?
Oh, yeah. We lived on a street called Jackson Street, coincidentally.
What are the odds?
Imagine 9 kids living in a 2-bedroom house. We had to wait in lines to take baths.
Oh,
11 people is
listen.
a lot for a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah, our family's house in Gary was tiny. But at the time, it seemed much larger to me.
my grandparents lived like that with even more kids, so I
I didn't
understand.
have friends when I was little. My brothers were my friends. I had some great times with my brothers. We played in the snow, had pillow fights. It got pretty rough sometimes.
At what age did you officially join the Jackson 5?
I guess when I was around 5 or 6.
I was going to say that. Yeah,
But
he
I'll
was
tell
really
you
young.
What I usually say to people when they ask me about the early years of the Jackson 5. I was so little that I really don't remember much about it. I just sang and danced, and I didn't understand why people were applauding and clapping and screaming. I really never thought about it. I just did it, and it came out.
And at the time, your father was your manager, right?
Yeah, he spent a lot of time and money working with us. He'd sit at home with us every day after school and critique us. If you messed up,
I was waiting for him to get to that.
sometimes with the belt, sometimes with a switch. Marlon was the one who got in trouble all the time. He was very strict, very hard, and very stern. Well, he mellowed out a lot. He was tough, the toughest person I've ever met. I hate to judge him, but I would have done things a lot different as a father.
Listen,
I
that's
never
a
felt
good
love from
thing.
him.
Break those
You
cycles.
felt love from your mother.
Absolutely. My mother always made sure that all of her children felt loved. My mother is a saint.
And your mother made all your clothes, right?
Right. When we performed in talent contests, we really looked amazingly professional. Really amazingly professional.
What songs did you perform?
We did songs that people knew from the radio or songs my father knew were already classics.
Makes sense.
Well, we won the citywide talent show when I was 8 with our version of Temptation's song, My Girl.
What do you remember about the 60s?
That's such a good song.
Well, we came in the tail end of the 60s. I'm a child of the 70s. But I remember what we were wearing, kind of like dashikis and bell-bottom pants. And I just remember the love from the public was very great and accepting of what we had to offer. It was wonderful. There's a lot of wonderment in being famous. I mean, you travel the world, you meet famous people, you go places, it's great. But then there's the other side, which I'm not complaining about. There's a lot of rehearsal, and you have to put a lot of your time and give a lot of yourself.
Yeah, you do.
I remember going to the
He's
Motown
right.
record studio, and there was a park across the street, and I'd see all these children playing. And it made me so sad that I would have to work instead. I just stared at them in wonder. I can't imagine such freedom, such carefree life. So there were sad moments in my childhood.
Was there anything that you found gratifying?
Was there anything that I found gratifying? Well, being listed in the Guinness Book of World Records, that was very gratifying. Here's the thing.
I know that
Ever
was
since
awesome.
I was a little boy, I have dreamt of creating the biggest selling record of all time. I remember going swimming as a child and making a wish before I jump into the pool. I stretch my arms out as if I'm sending it through right into space, and then I dive into the water.
Now
And
that I
believed
did not
that it was
know.
possible. So when Thriller became the biggest selling album of all time, it was listed in the Guinness Book of World Records. And that fact even appeared on the cover the way I imagined it. I was so happy, you have no idea. I felt on top of the world.
But was there anything from the early years?
That manifestation is a strong
that
thing.
you found gratifying?
Well, I used to watch a Jackson 5 cartoon. It was so much fun being made into a cartoon. It was like a fantasy come true. We didn't have to do anything. They just animated us and used our songs off the album that we recorded. I think I felt more special about that than any of the awards and hit records.
I had no idea they
Have you
were
seen the Jackson
animated.
5
I need to look
cartoon?
into that.
I've seen the first episode.
Did you like it?
I did like it. Very creative, an apocryphal origin story of the Jacksons.
Right. It all started with the snake.
Do you remember how you really got signed to Motown?
I actually remember the Motown meeting quite vividly. I remember Barry Gordy sitting us all down and saying that we're going to make history together. It was like a fairy tale come true, listening to this powerful, talented man tell us we're going to be very big. your first record will be number one. Your second record will be number one. And so will your third record.
Imagine how
This is
many
almost unheard of in
artists
those days.
right,
was right.
exactly what he's saying. Like,
I want you
how many
back
artists have
at
heard that
least
from
in
people and it
November
does
of
not happen?
1969, and went straight to number one. Our next single, ABC, came out in March 1970s and also went to number one. And well, I'll Be There was our real breakthrough song. It was the one that said, "We're here to stay." It was number one for 5 weeks.
So Diana Ross didn't really discover you first.
Right. But she was incredibly supportive. Our first album was called Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5. She helped take care of us for more than a year.
Oh, look at
while my
that.
parents sold a house in Indiana and looked for a house in California.
Did you like moving to California?
To come from a part of Indiana which is so urban and often bleak, and to land in Southern California was like having the world transform into a wonderful dream. We were all struck by California. Trees had oranges in the middle of winter. There were palm trees, beautiful sunsets, and the weather was so warm. And we were all over the place. Disneyland.
Yeah, I know that was a big difference for
My brothers loved
them.
it too. In the early days, we were all together all the time. We'd ride horses or watch movies. We did everything together. As soon as someone said, "I'm going swimming," we'd all yell, "Me too!" The separation from my brothers started much later, when they began to get married.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
got married young to get away from my father. So yeah, every day was special. I'd be doing something that was fun.
Yeah, Joe
and I wouldn't
Jackson
want
did
it
not
to
play.
end. Those were magical days.
What happened later that was just as enjoyable?
Well, in 1972, we began our first overseas tour with a visit to England. And while we were there, we met the Queen of England.
Ooh.
This was very exciting for us. I've seen photographs of the Beatles meeting with the Queen, but I never dreamt that we would get a chance to play for her. The Royal Command performance remains one of the greatest honors of my life.
Did you like England?
You know,
Absolutely.
I'm learning a lot of stuff I did not
England was
know.
different
This is
from
really
any
nice.
place I've ever been before. But the further we traveled, the more exotic the world looked. We saw great museums of Paris and the beautiful mountains of Switzerland. In all of these countries, the people had heard of us and liked our music. It didn't matter to them what color our skin was or which country we called home. If I had ever needed proof that all men could be brothers, I certainly had it during that tour.
Wow.
When did you leave
That's some
Motown?
powerful stuff.
18. We had so many ideas we wanted to try out, but they were convinced that we shouldn't fool with a successful formula. Once a reporter asked a Black Power question, and the Motown person told him that we didn't think about that stuff because we were a commercial product.
What does that even mean, a commercial product?
I'm not sure, but we winked and gave the power salute when we left, which seemed to thrill the guy.
Was it difficult telling Berry Gordy?
It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. We both talked out of anger, but we became friends again.
Wow.
It was Barry who said he hoped I'd audition for Motown's The Wiz.
And Jermaine stayed with Motown.
That is such a good movie.
Jermaine stayed with Motown. He was Barry's son-in-law, and his situation was more complicated than ours. And so then Randy officially joined the group and took my place as the baby of the band.
And you had to change the name of the group, right?
Right. We're no longer known as the Jackson 5. Motown said that the group's name was a company-registered trademark, and that we couldn't use it if we left. So we called
Interesting,
ourselves
okay.
the Jacksons, which is actually our original name.
And that's around when you did the Jacksons Variety Show.
Yeah, I hate doing the television show. We had to dress in ridiculous outfits and perform stupid comedy routines to can laughter. It was so fake. I'm not a comedian. I'm not a show host. I'm a musician.
Well, at least he
Where
knew
did
who
you
he
find your own
was.
internal direction as the Jacksons?
By the Triumph album, we definitely found our own voice. But it was destiny that gave us the final burst of energy we needed to put together a perfect show with no marginal material. I'm proud of the Destiny album. It's too bad it got overshadowed by Off the Wall.
How did you get involved with Quincy Jones?
Well, I didn't want Off the Wall to sound like outtakes
And he
from
just passed
Destiny.
away, too.
That's why I wanted to hire an outside producer. And so, Quincy Jones proved to be the best producer I could have asked for. I love Quincy Jones. I really do. He's a genius.
And Off the Wall was your first solo album since you left Motown.
Right. Don't Stop to Get Enough was the first song I wrote as a whole. That song was my first big chance, and it went straight to #1. But even though Off the Wall was a huge success, it received only 1 Grammy nomination. So I was very
happens.
disappointed with the way it was accepted.
And you didn't attend the Grammys that year. Is that right?
Right. I watched the ceremony on television. It was nice to win in my category, but I was still upset by what I perceived as rejection of my peers. That experience lit a fire in my soul. All I could think of was the next album and what I was going to do with it. I say to myself, wait till next time. They won't be able to ignore the next album.
Wow.
And Thriller pretty much spawned from that.
Oh,
What was the goal of the
that's
Thriller
actually
album?
really cool to know.
What was the goal of the Thriller album?
He didn't give up.
People used to do albums where you get one good song and the rest were B-side. I say to myself, why can't there be a pop album where every song is great?
Right.
So that was my goal of Thriller album.
I agree.
I wanted to be truly great.
Was it a lot of work making the album?
Absolutely. Making the Thriller album was very hard work. But it's true that you only get out of something what you put into it. I'm a perfectionist. I work until I drop. Eventually, we came under tremendous pressure from our record company to finish Thriller. When we finally listened to the tracks we were going to hand in, Thriller sounds so crappy to me that tears came to my eyes. I felt devastated. All this pent-up emotion came out. I got angry and left the room. I told my people, that's it. We're not releasing it. There was a bit of yelling and screaming from the record people, but in the end, they were smart and understood. Because I knew it was wrong, the record would have been terrible. You simply have to take your time. The sad truth was
I
had
can
to redo
appreciate
the
that.
whole thing, mix the entire album all over again. We took a couple of days off, drew a deep breath, and stepped back. When we finished, there wasn't any celebration that I can recall. We didn't go out to the disco or anything. We just rested.
Were you at least pleased with the finished product?
Well, I'm never pleased with anything. I'm a perfectionist. It's a part of who I am.
Really?
I see what he's saying.
Well, considering the amount of work
Now I want to
put
know
into a
what
project,
Thriller originally sounded
I'm
like.
never pleased with anything. People just see the outcome of work and never see the side of the work you go through to produce that outcome.
Sure.
When I have a great idea, I have an iron will.
Were the music videos part of the original concept?
Yes, the 3 videos that came out of Thriller, Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller, were all part of my original concept for the album. You know, why work so hard on an album and then produce a terrible video? I remember
That's
the
a great
first time
point.
I saw MTV. My brother Jackie came and said, "Are you watching that show on TV? All they do is play music." I put it on, and I thought the concept was very interesting. I thought if I were going to do one, I would do something with a little entertainment value. Something with a beginning, a middle, and an ending. Like a short film.
Yeah, telling a story.
What was
Yep.
the goal of the Thriller video?
My main goal for Thriller short film was to do something that would...
See, that right there. That right there scared me so bad.
What about the Beat It video?
I feel like it's a rite of passage.
I came up with. I wanted real gang members. So we round up some of the toughest gangs in Los Angeles and put them to work on the video. It turned out
They
to
were
be a
real
good
gang
idea.
members? I thought they were just
The effect was
actors.
menacing. You can really feel the experience of the streets. You know those kids are tough. It was nothing like actors acting.
That's actually really cool.
Maybe a little at first, but we came to realize very quickly the gang members were actually very polite and humble.
I can see
During
that.
breaks, they all cleaned up and put their trays away. It was very sweet. They're a nice bunch of guys. Like all of us, they just wanted to be seen. I've always wondered if they got the same message from the song that I did.
Is it safe to say you knew the Thriller album was going to be a hit?
Yes, not to be arrogant, but yes, because I know great material when I hear it. I'm a visionary in that sense.
Needless to say, you attended the Grammys that year.
Right. I had gotten a record, 13 nominations for Thriller. Man, what a feeling. To work so hard on something, to give so much, and to succeed. I felt like a marathon runner breaking the tape at a finish line.
I mean, to go from one
That's the
nomination to
realization of a
13,
dream.
that's
powerful.
that's
stuff.
impressive.
When we walked in, we got a huge applause. People were really excited. Everyone involved with Thriller.
Oh, there
rolling
goes
on
Joe.
air. It
And
was
Mama.
wonderful. All evening, I've been going up to the stage and collecting awards with my sunglasses on. Finally, when Thriller won the best album, I went up to accept it, and I took off my glasses. And the girls in the back row just went crazy.
Why did you wear sunglasses in public as often as you did?
Well, I wear sunglasses in public as often as I do because I simply don't like to have to constantly look everyone in the eye. It's a way to concealing just a little bit of myself.
So you won a record-breaking 8 Grammy Awards.
Right. And after all that, then there was the Victory Tour. I did 55 shows with my brothers over the course of 5 months. And the world was just getting really, really wild at that time.
Actually, I have seen clips of people
It was
passing
the biggest
out.
tour any group has ever done, in huge outdoor stadiums all over America and Canada. We wrote records everywhere we played. Madison Square Garden, the Montreal Olympic Stadium, you name it. I felt on top of the world in those days of victory. At moments like that, I feel so honored, so happy. It makes all the work seem worthwhile. The Victory Tour was one of the greatest pinnacles of my success. It was just a phenomenal pinnacle. My dreams had come true.
With that, let's take a short break and be back with more of Michael Jackson, the King of Pop.
And they're coming together to rumble, to fight. And my objective is to, I'm telling them, turn the other, don't fight, turn the other cheek. It's your brother you're killing. And, I do it in aggressive beat and rhythm and dancing and everything.
You got real gang members there, too.
Yeah, we have real gang members integrated in with dancers. We got lots of real gang members in there.
Do crowds worry you?
Not on tour. I get afraid of, well, I don't know people. I get afraid of people sometimes.
That's real right
I
there.
don't really like it,
Gotta be honest
I haven't
with
really
yourself.
experienced that. Like friendship is a thing I'm just beginning to learn about. I was raised on the stage, and that's where I'm comfortable. And everything else is like foreign to me. I'm just beginning to know and learn about people, friendship, and things like that.
So you never really hit the streets, huh?
I know nothing about it.
We're back with more of Michael Jackson, the King of Pop.
All right, outfit change.
So what were you saying about the media?
Well, the minute I started breaking all-time records, the media started turning the public against me. Almost overnight, the press started printing these outrageous lies. He sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber. He wants to buy the bones of the Elephant Man. He's gay. He's a wacko. Anything that turns people against me. None of these stories are true. They're totally fabricated. The press has made me out to be a monster, this crazy person. I mean, why would I sleep in a hyperbaric chamber? They just simply made it up.
Sure.
And there are people
They're
that
the
eat
ones
that
who are
stuff up.
crazy. They're ignorant.
And there was also a story about you wanting to have a little white boy playing you in a Pepsi commercial.
That's the most ridiculous, god-awful story I've ever heard.
I do remember.
I mean, why
that
would
story,
I want a
not
white child to play me?
obviously when it came out,
I
but
suppose the implication is that you want
I remember this being mentioned.
That is complete rubbish. I am a Black American. I'm proud of my race. I'm proud of who I am. I have a lot of pride and dignity. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of my skin. It's not something that I can control. I have vitiligo. It isn't nice to criticize someone for something that is natural and God-given.
How do you respond to false reports?
He is right.
It has made me realize when you hear a lie often enough, people start to believe it. I mean, I wish there was a way to totally get rid of those kind of things. I used to always say to my fans, let's have a tabloid burning. Let's make a big mountain of tabloids and burn them all.
Really?
Sure, why not? The real fans know that tabloid garbage isn't true. They know, they're smart.
Yeah,
Some of them try
never
to
paid
disguise
attention to
themselves,
those things.
but they're still tabloids.
Can you tell me about Neverland?
Well, Neverland appeals to the child inside every man, woman, and child. It's a place where you can return to your childhood. Neverland is me. It represents the totality of who I am. It really does.
Can you tell me about Neverland, the physical place?
It was just a fun, wonderful place to be. So much to do. An amusement park, a movie theater, unlimited space to play games.
All the
climb
things he wanted to
mountains,
do as a
ride
kid.
horseback, all kinds of fun things.
It seems like you put a lot of thought into it. Before you get to the house, you pass through these tattered ranch gates, right?
Right. You pass through these tattered gates, so psychologically, you really feel like you're coming to a ranch. So when you go around the bend, I wanted to change to Technicolor, like the Wizard of Oz does from Black and White.
Sure, with all the rides and the carousel.
When Dorothy opens the door.
Right.
Yep.
Is it safe to say it gave you a chance to do what you couldn't do when you were little?
For me, and for sharing with others. Every 3 weeks, we would entertain all these sick children, unprivileged children, children who haven't been on a carousel, who haven't pet a horse or a llama, never even seen them. So if I can open my gates and see that bliss, an explosion of screaming laughter, I say, thank you, God. I feel I've won God's smile of approval because I'm doing something that brings joy and happiness to other people. Other men have their Ferraris and their cars, or whatever they find their bliss. My bliss is giving and sharing, and have simple, innocent fun.
Is it safe to
I
say
like that.
you can relate better to children?
Yeah, I relate to them much easier. They don't come with all the baggage and stuff. They just play. They just want to love and
They
be
haven't
loved.
been corrupted yet. That's
When I
what
see children, I see the face
that's
of God.
what it is.
That's what I see. That's why I love them so much. They saved my life. I'm not joking. They saved me. I have such concern for the plight of children. I feel their pain. I really do.
Do you think your concern for children is a result of you having a perceived non-existent childhood?
Maybe. But today, it's not just child stars that have suffered from a non-existent childhood. Today, it's a universal calamity, a global catastrophe. Childhood has become the great casualty of modern-day living. Children are constantly encouraged to grow up faster. Scores of children worldwide are being denied the joy and security of childhood. A child's mind needs unconditional love and the nourishment of magic and wonder.
Yeah, and there are kids that are born into
They need the
situations
world's
that
awareness
aren't ideal.
And if I can be that light, that pedestal, just to shine some light on who they are and the importance of who children are, I really think it's my job to help them. I think it's my calling. I don't care if people laugh or what they say. Children don't have a mouth to society. I feel that is something really, really in my heart that I'm supposed to do.
So tell me about We Are the World.
Oh, We Are
Well,
the World.
We Are the World is one of the most favorite things I've done. I was proud to be a part of that song. I think it's a very spiritual song.
What was the goal of the Bad album?
Well, The Way Make Me Feel and Smooth Criminal are simply the grooves I was in at the time.
Real quick,
That's how I would
side
put it.
note, watching them
pleased with the
record
Bad
We
Album?
Are the World.
Well, it's tough because I'm
Y'all know what
competing
part I'm
against
talking about
myself.
if you've seen it.
But I was satisfied with what we achieved.
Do you enjoy performing?
Absolutely. I love it. If I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't do it. I do it because I truly love it. There's no greater bliss than dancing and performing. It's like a celebration. And when you're caught up in that place where certain performers go, it's like being in a trance. Certain performances, like the Motown 25, when I did the moonwalk for the first time on stage,
Oh, look at that.
I just remember opening my eyes
Come on.
at the end of the piece and seeing a sea of people standing up and applauding. I was surprised because I was in another world right in the moment. You're connected to a higher source and you just go with the moment, at one with the moment. And the audience is up there with you. The audience plays off that. There's like a telepathy going on, like fish swimming in a school. They're on the same line.
Sure.
You're above it all. It's gone. The point of no return. It's so wonderful. It is divine. It is pure. It is revelation. It's a divine energy. Some people look down on it. Religions sometimes look down on it.
Ooh, don't get
because
me
they try to say
started.
it's demonic.
Don't get me
It's the
started
devil.
in this
It isn't.
video.
It is godlike. It is pure godlike energy. You feel God's light.
So it's safe to say you're still very religious.
Well, it depends on what you mean by religious. I believe in God. Absolutely. I believe in God very much.
But you're no longer part of the Jehovah's Witness Church.
Right.
That's right. They
What was it
were
like being
Jehovah
raised a
Witnesses.
strict Jehovah's Witness?
Well, going to Kingdom Hall was a treat. It was a chance for me to be normal. The church elders treated me as same as they treated everyone else. I was Brother Jackson, simply human, sharing a day with God.
Did you do anything special on Sundays?
Sundays were my day for pioneering, the term used for missionary work that Jehovah's Witness do. We would spend the day in the suburbs of Southern California, going door to door, or making the rounds of local shopping malls, distributing our Watchtower magazine.
Really?
Yeah, I would don my disguise of a fat suit, wig, beard, and glasses, and head off to the shopping malls and go door to door in the suburbs.
Really?
Y'all, I had
the
someone
funny
approach
thing is
me
no
at the
adult ever
cemetery
suspected who
while
this
I was
strange,
visiting
bearded
family.
man was. But the
I was
children,
like,
with their extra
hello.
intuition, knew right away. By the
I've
second
heard of
round
Watchtower
shopping
before.
malls, I'd find
Nice to
myself
meet ya.
trailed by 8 or 9 children, like the Pied Piper. They would follow and whisper and giggle, but they wouldn't reveal my secret to their parents.
Really?
Yeah, I continue my pioneering work for years and years after my solo career has been launched, up till 1991, around the time of the Dangerous Tour.
That's very interesting. Do you often wear disguises?
I do disguise for different reasons. I like to study people, be like a fly on the wall, even if it's just 2 old ladies sitting on a bench, because I don't know what it's like to fit in an everyday situation. One time, I was in a record store, completely disguised, and these girls were pulling out my album, talking all about me. I literally was next to them. It was wonderful. I loved it.
Did people ever realize that you were disguised?
Sometimes you can trick a guy quicker than you can trick a girl. Girls are very smart, you know.
Oh, thank you.
May I ask why
We
you left
try.
the
We
girls'
try,
school?
darling.
Well, there were a number of reasons.
Such as?
Well, because they can discriminate sometimes in the wrong way.
In what way?
Like Halloween. I missed out on Halloween for years, and now I do it. It's sweet to go door to door and people give you candy. We need more of that in the world. I cry behind my mask. I really do. The kids come, they open their bags, and they go, "Oh, look at that little one." And it's just so sweet, the way that they respond. That part of America I'm proud of.
Were there any church teachings that you disagreed with?
Sure.
Such as?
Like the story of Adam and Eve and the snake. I think that myth is very misunderstood. The snake may be the oldest victim of bad press.
Ooh,
That's interesting.
yes, come
I remember
on.
having a problem with that story, even as a child.
Was it difficult leaving the church?
Absolutely. But I was comforted by the belief that God exists in my heart and in my music. And beauty, not only in a building, but I still miss the sense of community that I felt there. I could have really used their support in my darkest hour.
Can we talk about that?
What, my darkest hour?
Yes.
Yeah, are we about to go there?
If you like.
When did it start?
It's hard to say.
Perhaps with the first accusation of child molestation?
Perhaps. Or maybe before. It's hard to say.
Can you tell me about the first accusation?
Oh, I was blatantly extorted.
But you settled, right?
Yes.
Can I ask why you settled?
You mean, why did I settle if I was innocent?
Right.
Yes.
Well, I just want to get on with my life. Because I knew how it would look. This could be something that could go on for years. I didn't want to do a long, drawn-out thing. All these lies and these tabloid shows. Just lies, lies, lies. Because I knew how it would look.
And just for the record,
I will say again, I have never and would never harm a child. Before I hurt a child, I would slit my wrist. And life is very beautiful and precious to me. But I would slit my wrist before I would hurt a child.
I suppose the Martin Bashir video didn't help much.
No, it did not.
Yeah, right.
I remember watching
You
that.
still maintain that it's all right for an adult to sleep in the same bed as a child.
If you're gonna be Jack the Ripper, it's not a good idea. But who's Jack the Ripper in the room? I'm the guy in the sleeping bag on the floor. I didn't sleep in the bed with the child. I slept on the floor. But even if I did sleep in the bed, it would still be okay. I slept in the bed with Macaulay Culkin when he was little. Macaulay was on this side, and his brother Kieran was on the other side.
The interviewer
It
is
was very
doing a really
sweet.
good job with her facial
We need more
expressions
of
right
that
here.
in the world.
Can you tell me about your arrest?
Oh, it was a complete travesty of justice. They searched my office without a warrant, and they also manhandled me very roughly. Really a complete travesty. 80 policemen in one bedroom. That's really overdoing it. I won't live there ever again. I'll visit Neverland. It's a house now. It's not a home.
So you would not want to be buried in Neverland.
I didn't say that. I said I would never live there again. I've always said I want to be buried right where there are children. I want them next to me. I would feel safer that way. I need their spirit protecting me.
Can you tell me about the trial?
That is very interesting.
It was a nightmare for me and for my family. They did it to try to belittle me, to try to take away my pride. But I went through the whole system with them. And at the end, I wanted the public to know that I was okay, even though I was hurting very, very badly.
But you were acquitted and vindicated.
I just don't like it when people hear about false information. And it's sad when people believe it.
How did you cope?
Well, I gained strength from God. I gained strength from the fact that I know I'm innocent. I know eventually the truth will prevail. And I'm about truth.
Right.
I'm a strong person. I'm a warrior. But it's very painful. At the end of the day, I'm human, you know? I'm still a human being.
Yeah, we
So
all
it did
are.
hurt very, very much. I could almost see the spirit flowing out of me like plumes of cigarette smoke.
Is it safe to say that you were spiritually wounded by the experience of the trial?
Oh,
Sure.
that's a given.
And there are so many sharks in this business searching for blood.
In what way?
I've seen the worst, the nightmare of the human condition, the human soul. I've had adults with tears coming down their face saying, "Michael, I'll never hurt you." That's the kind of crap that I have been through. Tears rolling down and hugging me.
In several interviews, you made reference to a conspiracy.
Yes,
Do you still believe there was a conspiracy against you?
depends on what you mean by conspiracy.
A malevolent plot?
Absolutely. That's a fact. My life was threatened.
May I ask who threatened you?
Oh, the first time it was a woman, one of my employees. I used to have hundreds of employees working for me. She was a minor employee. We were just talking when suddenly her expression changed and she said, "You know, we could have you killed. Stop what you're doing."
What did she mean
What?
by stop what you're doing?
Well, at the time, I was sort of trying to retake control of my life, cutting ties with people I suspected were part of the conspiracy.
Did you tell the police?
Not that time. Well, she didn't say, "We're going to kill you," but "we can have you killed." But the threat is implicit.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Never knew that.
She also threatened my children in the same way.
What was that like?
She threatened your
It
kids?
was horrible. It was a nightmare. I could almost hear an old-fashioned fire engine bell ringing in the background. Ding, 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 ding. It was a nightmare, but a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. That's honestly what it felt like. I felt disconnected from reality.
Disconnected in what way?
Well, here's the thing. All my life, pretty well everything that I have ever imagined or wished for has come true in some way. And that's how I've always lived my life.
Like a dream.
Exactly. But somehow that dream became a nightmare. I remember thinking, no, 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 this isn't happening. I don't want this to be happening. But it was happening.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. It was particularly terrifying because they obviously felt strong enough in their position to make themselves known.
We know that you know.
Exactly.
Did you at least fire the employee?
I didn't actually. I
Why?
was too scared. But I heard she quit not long after. She had served her purpose. And everywhere I went, dark storm clouds seemed to
The
follow me
purpose
around.
of threatening you.
Honestly, you can check the weather history. I was living in constant fear. Do you know what it's like to live in fear of your life?
No.
Good. I'm glad. I hope you never have to experience that.
I hope so
It's the
too.
most horrible feeling in the world. I felt like the walls were closing in on me.
How long did you live in fear of your life?
Years.
Really?
Sure, years and years. I've been through hell and back. And anybody else would be dead as a junkie right now who has been through what I've been through. They tried their hardest.
How did you cope?
I would think about flying through the air with the wind in my face. I would imagine flying in Africa. I would go way up high, and I'm so happy up there. I think the feeling of flight is one of the most wonderful things I have discovered. It's freedom. It's bliss. It's quintessential bliss. It's the height of fun.
Do you still think about flying?
No, because now I feel that free all the time. I really do. It's wonderful. I'm doing very well.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right then.
Thank you.
So you were using painkillers to escape from reality.
Oh, here we go.
Right. These were drugs that were prescribed by a doctor for physical pain. These were very strong drugs, like propofol and lorazepam.
Can you tell me about the This Is It tour?
Sure. We did 50 concerts over 8 months in the O2 Arena in London, England.
50 concerts, that's a lot of shows.
Yeah, it started out as only 10, but they all sold out less than an hour.
Was it a lot of work?
That's crazy.
Not really. I'm most comfortable on stage.
But it's Michael
But
Jackson,
the
baby.
preparation for the tour was a lot of work. When I take on a project, I believe in it 100%. I really put my soul into it. I die for it. That's how much I love the fans.
Do you think you risked your life?
Sure. But it's all for love. Love. It was a particularly stressful time because I was secretly making arrangements to disappear, to go into hiding.
Really?
I suppose if they had suspected, I wouldn't be here talking with you today.
How soon after the
True.
final This Is It concert until you disappeared?
The same night.
Really?
Yeah, the same night. My children were already there because they had appeared on stage with me. So after the final encore, I went backstage and the adrenaline was still flowing and I knew it was time to go. I could almost hear Beat It playing in the background. You know, just beat it. Just beat it.
Sure.
So I took a deep breath and I headed for the door. And I could hear them calling out to me, Michael, Michael, you can't just leave. Michael,
I'm
you have
Michael
a
Jackson.
contract.
Yes, I can.
I could tell from the desperation in their voice that I had fooled them.
What did they mean by you have a contract?
Well, I had agreed to do these post-concert interviews so that no one would suspect anything was out of the ordinary.
Really?
Yeah. They even tried calling out to my kids, but I was like, just keep walking, Prince. And he understood. So yeah, we took the tunnel the same night, stayed in Paris a few days to make sure we weren't followed, and then we came here to Switzerland.
With that, let's take a short break and be back with more of Michael Jackson, the King of Pop.
Are we going to get another
Absolutely not.
outfit change?
You know what? Nothing to do with politics or communism or fascism. Well, at all.
The critics have said that it's the most boldly vainglorious self-deification a pop singer ever undertook with a straight face.
Good. That's what I wanted.
For the controversy?
Yeah.
And
They
for the
fell into my trap.
for the
I
people
wanted,
who say that
I wanted everybody's attention.
Well, he got it.
We're back with more of Michael Jackson. The
All
King
right,
of Pop.
outfits.
So, how did you adjust to retirement?
Well, the first 2 years were kind of like a transition period. I was selling off property and possessions and settling various lawsuits.
And because of the pending lawsuits, you can't return to the United States, right?
Yes, but that's okay. I don't care to stay in America anymore.
It was reported in the media that you were selling your possessions because you were broke.
That is a tabloid's lie. I mean, why would I be broke? I own 50% of the Sony catalog. That's a huge catalog.
He's
and
like,
very
get out
valuable.
of my face with that.
I sold my possessions because there were things I didn't need anymore. I even donated most of the profits to charity. Honestly. You know, just enough to live modestly and make sure that my children are financially protected.
So the first 2 years were
I could see
a
him doing that.
transition period.
Right. There was still some residual fear because I lived in fear for years and years, like I was saying before. But after a while, I remember thinking, you're safe, you're safe. They don't know where you are. You're safe, you're safe. And after that, I just remember feeling an overwhelming rush of jubilation. And then a state of indescribable bliss and sacredness. A state of uninterrupted, deep peace and thankfulness. Every night I would go to bed in complete bliss. And every morning I would wake in pure joy.
How long did that serenity last?
2 years, 2.5 years. Just so thankful to be alive, in a state of the most intense joy and exquisite ecstasy. I grew a beard.
Really?
Oh, I wish he could have had
Yeah.
that.
I grew a thick beard. I never wore a full beard before. It was wonderful. I've had some amazing good times.
What would you do all day?
I would walk around or sit on a park bench. You know, just marveling the beauty of creation. Looking over some landscapes of beautiful skies where the clouds are hues of pink and gold. I would start to pray to God. This is so beautiful. Thank you for making the heaven and earth such a beautiful place. Thank you. Thank you so much.
May I ask
He would
when
do
your
that.
disfigurement started?
Around 5 years after the This Is It tour. And this is what brought me back down to earth. It reminds me that I'm still flesh and blood.
So you've lived with your disfigurement for around 10 years.
Right.
So you feel comfortable with your condition.
I feel great, Eve. Thank you for asking.
Do you always wear the same mask?
I wear a lot of masks. If it's just my family or my nurse, I usually wear something like a surgical mask and without my wig.
You mentioned that your disfigurement was the result of a number of different causes that sort of happened at the same time.
Yes.
May I ask if plastic surgery was one of those
Yes,
causes?
let's go into detail.
Not that I know of. I don't think so. It's just my nose. You know, honestly, they go too far. It's just my nose. All these charges are ridiculous. If they were true, I would say so. But they're not.
I mean, the nose
It's my
was
face.
very
I think I would know.
drastic.
And these are things an autopsy would confirm.
Exactly. I don't know why I have been singled out. Elvis had his nose done. Lisa Marie told me.
So how have you changed since you retired?
Lisa's spilling the
How have I
tea.
changed? Well, you might have noticed some gold records hanging in the other room.
Sure.
Well, I never used to put any of my awards or trophies in my house. I put them all away in storage because I didn't want my subconscious mind to think that I've done it all. It makes me feel you've accomplished. Look at what I've done.
Do you think that by not displaying your
Okay.
awards, you deprive
That's an interesting way of looking at
pleasure
it.
or happiness?
Absolutely. But it was the best way I could think of to make a good product. And it's all for the sake of goodness, because my message is for goodness. I'm not saying I'm holy, but I'm saying heal the world, save our children, save the forest. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Sure.
No, there's nothing wrong with all that.
When did you start displaying your awards?
A couple of years after the This Is It tour, I was going through some old boxes in storage where I found the box with all my Grammys and other awards. It was great. I was the only one awake in the whole house. I stayed up all night putting up all the awards and trophies. It was wonderful. I felt so proud.
What, it
That's
felt
a
like
lot
Christmas?
of awards to hang. 13 Grammys, 40 Billboard Awards, 13 MTV Awards, and 56 gold and platinum records. That's a lot of awards.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad people accept what I do. I don't know what else to say. It's a great honor.
Were you able to hang all the awards in one night?
Well, some of them are hanging in other properties, but the Grammys are here. They're in my bedroom.
So you still own other property?
I have a modest property on all the continents.
I'm not sure I
Hey,
would call this a
do it.
modest
Work.
property. The main hall is huge.
Well, compared to some mansions in America, it is modest.
It's beautiful with the timber ceiling and all the shields.
Thank you.
Do you like it here?
You mean in Switzerland?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, Switzerland is
I've always
beautiful.
liked fantasy and fairy tales, and that's what this village kind of reminds me of.
And I know the pictures do
something from a
not
Brothers
do it
Grimm
justice.
storybook.
Exactly. They still have things like chocolate stores with elaborate clockwork dioramas, you know, with moving forest animals and lumberjack gnomes. I would have loved to have seen things like that as a child. And of course, the mountains are beautiful. You saw the view, right?
It is hard to miss.
I wake up to that view every morning. Also, I spend a lot of time in Africa. The scenery is beautiful, but I'm totally allergic to the sun.
So what else is different?
Yeah, I do remember
I
that.
will write, direct, and produce movies.
Really?
Really. I love film very, very much. I think it's the most expressive of all the art mediums. In film, you live in the moment. For 2 hours, you can be transported to another place. Films can take you anywhere. And man, they're in the palm of your hand. It's unbelievable. I like to get 6 great movies behind me.
What sort of movies are you going to make?
All my stories are going to be from the perspective of children and how they see the world.
That doesn't surprise me
That's what I
one
can
bit.
relate to. I also want to do one adult film just to show that I can. I've always wanted to do film, but the tour has gotten in the way.
Are there any filmmakers that have influenced you?
Absolutely. I love all the greats. The greatest education in the world is watching a master at work.
For example?
I always say the guy who designs the roller coaster is the real showman. First he takes you up, way up, and you go, oh my God, why did I do this?
You're darn
Then you
right.
go straight down, and then a little bit, and maybe
This is
upside
why
down.
I don't mess with them anymore.
That guy's a real showman. The guy who creates the dips, because he understands rhythm and structure. And that's very important.
Do you watch any contemporary movies?
Not many. So many people are doing the same thing. Sure bet, only the public gets bored, of course.
What music do you listen to?
I actually mostly listen to classical music.
Really?
Nothing
Yeah,
wrong
I
with some
love all the
classical
greats.
now.
I love, of course, all the Beatles stuff. I love the Beatles music. I love all the early Motown, Sam Cooke, the Famous Flames. I love a lot of the show tune writers. I love melody, English melody, in the rhythm of Africa, which is the root of rhythm. Africa is music, is the origin, is the dawn of existence.
Mm-hmm.
They
There you
say
go.
the harmonies of the angelic choir
Educate the
are
people.
incredibly complex, but the rhythm is simple.
Do you listen to any contemporary music?
I don't really listen to a lot of music today, but there is some good music being made. The Heaven 17 and Johnny Burnaway.
Oh yeah, Johnny Burnaway's great. Very creative.
Yeah, I love an artist who doesn't play it safe.
I don't know,
Can
Johnny.
you tell me about the songwriting process?
Well, the songwriting process is something very difficult to explain. I let nature take its course. I don't force it. It has to be given to you. It's the most spiritual thing in the world.
And you're just the medium through which the song comes.
Exactly. An instrument of nature. Sometimes I hear everything in the totality. What the strings are doing, the bass, the drums, the lyrics.
He had a
The
gift.
heaven drops it right into my lap.
He truly had a gift.
That is art at its highest form. The real gems come that way.
Who do you admire?
Who do I admire? I love people who have really contributed to the pleasure and happiness of the planet and mankind. People with light, from Gandhi to Martin Luther King, Charlie Chaplin. I love Charlie Chaplin with all my heart. Walt Disney. These are people with light.
Disney.
These are my people.
My happy place.
I'm not trying to put my name with Gandhi or Christ.
Sure.
I try to imitate Jesus. I'm not saying I'm Jesus.
Sure. Are there any Bible stories that you like?
Absolutely. I love when Jesus says to the apostles, unless you become like this little child, not childish, but childlike.
Any other stories?
Sure, I love the Sermon on the Mount. I love when Jesus says, first remove the log from your own eye. I thought that was the perfect thing to say. That is real power.
If you want to make the world a better place, you have to change yourself first.
To heal the world, we first have to heal ourselves. Heal the child within.
Can people really be changed?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. I
They
believe you
can.
can change a lot of people. That's what's so wonderful about it all. You can show them. The kingdom is here for us to claim.
How can people be changed?
Well, going to one of my shows is a transformative experience. Because you go in one person and you come out a different person. I wish you could have seen some of the things we have done in concert. But I guess you would have been too young.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we would have a huge tank on stage, like an army tank, and a soldier gets out and points the gun at everybody. And then he aims it at me, and the whole audience starts booing. This happens every country. And then we do Heal the World. Children of all nations circle this huge globe. It's just amazing stuff.
How else can people be changed?
I think John Lennon might have the right idea with the bedding for peace. Things like that. Things that the establishment can't understand and therefore can't destroy. There are many injustices in the world. Poverty, pollution, and war. All of these are man-made things. I don't think there's some devil out there manipulating our thoughts, but that's what I was taught. I think the devil is a man himself.
That's interesting. Assuming the devil is a man, do you believe he was somehow involved in the conspiracy against you?
I'd rather not answer that question, if that's all right.
Sure.
But then there's the beautiful side of mankind, too. I still get goosebumps when I hear the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love. I always wished that song could be the anthem for the world.
That would be nice.
And there have been some amazing growths in technology. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I hope I'm around to see it.
Do you have any regrets?
No, not really. I wouldn't change the past if I could. I'm enjoying myself.
Really?
Really. Because I'm happy with the way things are. That's why I wouldn't change a thing.
It all brought him to this point.
You don't have any regrets?
Well, I was at the Academy Award with Diana Ross. And Brooke Shields just came up to me and said, "Hi, are you going to the after party?" And I just melted. I was about 23 during Off the Wall. She was my type for sure. Very feminine and classy. And I don't like most girls. Her pictures were all over my room.
Really?
Sure. So we get to the party and she says, "Would you dance with me?" And man, we exchanged numbers. And I was up all night spinning in my room. I was just so happy.
That's cute.
There were fireworks going off. We had one encounter when she got real intimate and I chickened out. And I shouldn't have. Anyway, things like that.
You learn something new every
but
day.
I don't have many regrets. Needless to say, there have been a lot of wonderful women in my life. Women whose names you wouldn't know.
Do you have difficulty asking girls out?
I've never asked a girl out. I'd be way too shy. They have to ask me.
Do you think you'll ever get married again?
Maybe. That'd be nice. Who knows what tomorrow brings?
Do you want to have more kids?
I love to adopt children. I'm thinking about adopting 2 children from each continent. This is my dream.
That's a lot of
African
babies.
children, Asian children, Arabian children. There are some beautiful Arab children.
So tell me about the fans.
They love me unconditionally. I know they do. I feel it. On tour, I would sometimes run into diehard fans. They sleep on the streets, hold up candlelight.
Pass out
like
at your
a religious
concerts.
experience for them.
Why do you think your fans in particular are so devoted?
Because they have discovered what I'm about, what I'm trying to say. There's a message in the music. I don't know how God chooses people or plays chess with people.
Well, Schopenhauer said our lives are like the notes in a great symphony.
That's a lovely image, a dream within a dream. I've never heard that before. And it's true, in a sense. Looking back, I can view the whole tapestry, all the wonderful things my parents instilled in me. I'm very much like my father in a lot of ways. He's always taught us to be courageous and confident and to believe in our ideals. And no matter what, no star is too far to reach, and you'll never give up. And our mother taught us that as well.
Do you still see your family?
Sure, I love my family very much. I wish I could see them more often than I do, but they understand.
What gets you upset?
I get upset if some idiot, worse than a stooge, says something stupid and completely untrue. But I try not to be angry because I'm only hurting myself.
Ooh, that's very mature.
What do I love? Being able to give back, to help other people. And I love creating, to put my soul into something. I don't know the psychology of it or whatever. I just love working hard on something, putting it together, sweating over it, and then sharing it with people. That gives me great satisfaction as an artist.
What else
Makes
do you love?
sense to me.
I love the power of mystery. I really do. I think it's very powerful.
If you remain mysterious, people will be more interested.
Huh. There it is.
Sure. Leave something to the imagination. Hold back and build yourself up. Give yourself a certain kind of class. Make them reach out for you. Like you never see me on an award show saying, the nominees are. And I used to get asked to do every show. My brothers are the opposite. They will do any award show that asks.
Do you think that by fostering an air of mystery, you have contributed to the public misconception about you?
Maybe, but the media would always try and twist what you say. Or
See,
simply
that's
make it
the
up.
thing.
To be honest, I wasn't aware that the world thought I was so weird and bizarre.
Really?
Well,
Eve.
I never said I've lived a normal life, but given the unique circumstances, I think I'm pretty normal.
What advice would you give an aspiring artist?
What advice I would give? I would tell them to make a good product. Greatness is greatness. Great art is forever. Culture changes, fashion changes. Great art is forever. We still listen to Mozart today.
Oh, yes.
Tchaikovsky, Beethoven.
All of them.
Any of them. Any of the greats. Great art is forever. That's a fact.
And the artwork
agree.
may not even get recognized in the lifetime of the artist.
There you go.
Right. What's important is how the story ends.
Do you have any other advice for an aspiring artist?
Work hard. Really work hard. Be the best at what you can do. Get to know more about your field than anybody else. I'm a very strong believer in working hard. But enjoy it, Like be mild-spirited, playful. Have some fun. You gotta have some fun too. My mind never stops.
This is
It's
true.
always
You got
creative
to
and never stops.
find joy.
But I love a good water balloon fight. Or, play around, goof off. Have some fun.
So you still have water balloon fights?
Absolutely. I'm still the king of water balloon fights.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Any other advice?
Always believe in yourself, no matter what. No matter who's around you that's being negative or thrusting negative energy to you. Totally block it off. Because whatever you believe in, you become. In the end, the most important thing is to be true to yourself and those you love.
How have you come to learn what you know?
I love that.
Learning from nature and learning, just watching and studying. Being a serious observer. When you have seen the things I've seen and traveled all over the world, I've traveled the world over 8 times. I have slept in some crazy places. I really feel
This
like
is
an
kind
old
of random,
soul.
but the two
Someone who's
glasses on
seen
the
a lot
table,
and
I'm
experienced
just
a
like,
lot.
did he ever take a sip?
In so years, I'm sure. that
He looks
at
like he
least
never
100.
touched the drink. Look.
Well, I don't feel like I'm talking to a 65-year-old.
How is a 65-year-old supposed to act?
I'm not sure. How would you like to be remembered?
How would I like to be remembered? As a person who came and brought some light to the world, some escapism, also as the voice for voiceless children.
May I ask why you waited so long to grant an interview? 15 years is a long time.
He was enjoying life.
To be honest, nobody ever asked me. I guess everybody just assumed I would say no.
Really?
Oh, that's interesting.
I think Barbara Walters requested an interview. But why would I want to put myself through that?
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we conclude?
I just want to say to all my fans in every corner of the earth, every nationality, every race, every language, I love you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much.
Love you, Michael.
No, thank you, Eve. Please come back and visit any time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jackson, the king of pop.
Thank you guys so much, and I love you all. Thank you.
This was very well done. I'm actually pleasantly surprised because I'm listening to, well, first of all, the gentleman that played Michael, like the voice, oh my gosh, very, very nice. Eve, the interviewer, I love the questions that were being asked. I love the responses because I've seen, I won't say a lot of Michael Jackson interviews. I've seen a few, and I recognized certain quotes and different things that he was saying. So I was like, okay, they really did their research with this one. And in the end credits, seeing like quotations from all these different interviews, I was just like, okay, yeah, see, I caught on to that. There were things in this that I didn't know. I didn't realize he went from 1 Grammy nomination to 13, and then the Beat It music video, they were actually real gangsters. Like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Y'all just went around and just, I need a little bit more information on that one. Like, I beggeth your greatest pardon? This is what happened? Really? So that was really neat, learning about that. And of course, other little things that I didn't know along the way. I knew that Michael had this very like innocence about him because from the time he was like, what he said, 5, 6 years old, they were constantly rehearsing and doing all sorts of stuff. And one of the things I knew about from different interviews that I caught on to was him talking about seeing a park full of kids and he wanted to like go out there and like play, but he couldn't because he had to work. This was done very, very well. And of course, it's an alternate reality where he would still be with us. Now, I remember where I was when I found out Michael passed. One of my friends actually texted me. I was in my room. I'll never forget. I was in my room at my parents' house. My phone was on my dresser. My phone went off. I picked it up. My friend texted me, Michael Jackson passed away. And I was like, no. So I go out my room. I'm like, you know, because the TV was always on, some type of news station. And, you know, I was like, wow, what happened? And then in the interview, they talked about, you know, the type of medication he was on and all these things. And it's just like, dang, man, you know, what could have been? Because he died so young. And really makes you think how things would be if he were still here with us. So yeah, this interview touched on a lot of things and it was quite enjoyable to watch. To my beautiful YouTube family, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and please hit that notification bell so that you guys know whenever I upload, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.